Being an inspiration and a role model, especially for girls now, is very important. It's part of the things that I am pursuing in the podcast as well, because I have been heard how is the process for girls to decide to jump to engineer or to tech careers.
As a child, I was very active in math, in physics, and chemistry competition. So I always wanted to become an astronaut. But then as I grew up, I wanted to become a doctor. So in general, I was also interested in neuroscience even as a teenager. And in high school, it's where my journey with software engineering starts.
My guest today is Alba Mustafaj, a software development engineer and EQ speaker at Amazon. Alba shares her incredible path from Albania to Luxembourg, highlighting the pivotal role of emotional intelligence in her career. Discover in this episode how she created a university engagement program impacting thousands of students and learn practical tips for integrated emotional intelligence into your professional life. Her story teaches us the power of mentorship, the importance of self-awareness, and the courage to push beyond comfort zones. So please grab a cup of coffee or tea and join us to be inspired to take action towards your dreams. So welcome to the Brilliantly Branded podcast.
Welcome one more time to the Brilliantly Branded podcast, where our purpose is women empowerment through the lens of branding. My guest today is a woman. She is a software engineer and a leader behind different initiatives in the tech world. What makes me invite her to the podcast is to see how she has been achieving many things around different initiatives and have been excelling in a way that have been really took my attention. I'm so happy to have with us today Alba Mustafaj. Alba, welcome to the Brilliantly Branded podcast. And at the beginning, if you can introduce yourself, please.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for having me. So I'm Alba. I'm originally from Albania, and I'm a software engineer at Amazon in Luxembourg for the past 5 years. I studied computer science and engineering at Bilkent University in Turkey. And as a child, I was very active in math, in physics, and chemistry competition. So I always wanted to become an astronaut. But then as I grew up, I wanted to become a doctor. So in general, I was also interested in neuroscience even as a teenager. And in high school, it's where my journey with software engineering starts. So we started learning a bit about programming, and me and a classmate created a website about the human brain. And we won the first place in a national competition called ASEF. That was back in my home country in Albania. And that was kind of a turning point for me. So I started looking at programming and the ability to build things as a way to contribute to multiple fields. And my interest on that kept growing. So although by the time I joined the university, I wasn't really a competitive programmer, but I did have a vision as a teenager that I wanted to create and build things for the society. I'm really happy to be here today and share some of my learnings.
Well, that is, I love what you said, because being an inspiration and a role model, especially for girls now, is very important. It's part of the things that I am pursuing in the podcast as well, because I know what is the process, and I have been heard how is the process for girls to decide to jump to engineer or to tech careers. And the other thing that is connected with that is how you become actually specialized in emotional intelligence, that I haven't said that at the beginning. And I will love you to let us know more details probably later on. But all the things that have been you making connected the emotional intelligence to really empower other people. So now you give us this background about how do you end up an engineer. But part of my next questions is that are you managing different initiatives? And those initiatives are related with this drive that you have. So if you can show us a little bit about that initiatives, Alba, please.
Absolutely. So aside from my software engineering work, in 2021, I started a university engagement program, which is my main initiative for the past 3 years. So basically, I put together a team of around 20 people within Amazon that were willing to deliver lectures and mentor university students. And we delivered initially a bootcamp in 2 tracks, software engineering and program management. And then we followed that kind of intense workshop bootcamp by an 8-week mentorship phase. So we paired the students with mentors, and they developed their projects of their choice. So we pilot this in 2021 with American University in Beirut, but ever since we have expanded the initiative and we've impacted thousands of students. So now we have also a machine learning track as well. As we know, generative AI is a really hot topic. So we have ML lectures included. We have 2 days of ML lectures by our senior scientist, Paul Misalt, who's also based in Luxembourg. And this year, we also onboarded my own university, Bilkent, and the University of Luxembourg as well. We had some students on site. And as part of the awards and encouragement that we do for the students from the program, we provide mock interviews, job referrals, the scholarship on Gen AI, as I mentioned. And the goal of this almost 4-month initiative is to prepare students with some industry skills, right? And expand their network with experienced professionals. And the main supporter for this is Amazon Women in Engineering community. So it's one of the largest affinity groups that we have at Amazon. So where aside from our daily work as engineers, we also work together on internal and external initiatives.
Yeah, well, I love to hear that, because actually bringing together university and bringing together the private sector as well is something that it is the way to do the things. And having people like you that have been giving that support as well, recognition, because you have had the opportunity to receive many awards. And I want you to talk us about that, because this is inspirational. You know, when you are working for a purpose and you got this recognition back, it is something that I like to show outside. So if you can tell us a little bit, because I heard that you went to US and received a big award, and recently as well. So if you can tell us a little bit about that, that will be inspirational.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really honored. As I said, I have almost half a decade of experience in the industry, and I'm really honored and humbled to have received these 2 awards that you mentioned. So one was the STEM Outreach Champion Award and the Technology All-Star. So the first one is basically regarding the dedication to empowering and promoting women in technology field. This was handed by Amazon Women Engineering. And the other one, Technology All-Star, is awarded to an Amazonian who is helping to shape technology for the future and serve as a role model. So both these awards are kind of exemplifying the hire and develop the best culture at Amazon. And I would say that in my initiatives on both these directions, I've gotten a lot of support internally. So we have this at Amazon, we have this hire and develop the best principle. And it has been quite fascinating. Like the awards have also kind of created a way to reach out to more people and get more support on the program. And aside from my daily work and scope as engineer, I'm really honored to work with Amazonians worldwide on educational outreach and mentorship initiatives.
Yeah, this is for me something like it's a different mindset when you have your corporate work, but as well, you are doing many things around to support, to empower. And that's why for me, this is inspirational. And this is an invitation for all the listeners or people that are watching us right now to do the same thing, because sometimes we are doing our job in the corporate world, for example, but then we forget that the possibilities are there for us to succeed and to show our passion. So another passion that you have is all the things related with emotional intelligence. So for me, I'm a bit curious about how that is related with the world of tech, engineer, and emotional intelligence. So if you can tell us a little bit about that, please.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you for bringing this up. So my journey with emotional intelligence starts back in university. I had a university mentor, Alba. He is also an engineer, but with more than 20 years of experience, and he has contributed a lot to my EQ journey. For instance, from understanding that, as we face different situations at different times in our professional and personal life, we should be able to build some internal mechanisms to deal with a difficult one. So for me, the first mechanisms were towards getting to know myself and what I would enjoy doing more. So a few years back, I was considering either a PhD in programming languages or a career at Amazon. So I worked on my self-awareness and my self-management. I worked with my mentor as well. And as I started working more with others, especially as part of the initiatives with hundreds of people internally and external to Amazon, building some social awareness, some social management skills has been really essential. And at Amazon itself, we have a big emotional intelligence movement for which I'm also an EQ evangelist. So part of this, part of what I do as an EQ evangelist, I deliver trainings and sessions to Amazonians and external customers on different aspects. So on innovation and EQ, AI and EQ. And this has been an amazing experience so far, especially for the tech community. And I'm really happy to see that there's more interest from students, from Amazonians, and from our external partners as well.
Yeah, well, emotional intelligence is something that we need to be aware about that, because actually sometimes, especially in this crowded world with information, with all the things that the duties that we need to deliver every day, sometimes we forgot to really get that point where we know what is happening to us. So for all those women, girls, and all genders that are listening to us right now, what probably would you recommend for people to start to be aware about their emotional intelligence?
Yeah. So as you just mentioned, so emotional intelligence is basically the intelligent use of emotion. So as we might know already, we usually, all the decisions that we take, right, all the things that we say, they all have some emotion. So there's no emotion-free decision. So there's research actually showing that EQ contributes to up to 85% of our financial success. And my recommendation is to always start with the self. So there are 4 components to EQ. Is the self-awareness, self-management, and then it's the social awareness and social management. And in my opinion, developing some techniques that work best for you, so it can vary in different people or different situation. But for instance, one technique that can be applied to several scenarios is doing an exercise on the circle of influence, so on yourself. So you literally can think of mapping your thoughts into these 3 groups. So what is in your control, what can you influence, and what you cannot influence at all, but you are interested in. For example, deciding and defining these 3 areas can help you focus most of your energy and your action more into what is actually in your control, and do not spend too much time on things that worry you but are out of your hands. Another powerful technique is reframing as well. So that is also called cognitive reappraisal. So it's basically looking at things differently. For example, you receive a tough feedback, or someone says something that really impacts you. Instead of looking at it as a threat, right, in this situation, you can reposition your thoughts and think, how can this experience make me better? How can I improve myself? Or how can I improve my communication skills? And regarding reframing, there's a lot of research in that. I can share maybe also a few links later with more in-depth examples.
That will be lovely, especially because sometimes these kind of things that sound simple for you because you know that and you are actually giving the workshops to teaching to people that, but not everybody knows that you need to stop and check into your emotion to really control that emotion. So the control of the emotion is something that in general, I mean, in a world full of information, ignorance is a choice. So I think that if you share that with us, all the links and all the things that the people can go and dive deep into the knowledge and practicing as well, because sometimes we are reading things but not practicing. What will be some practicing points that you will advise to people that are listening to us now?
Mm-hmm. So as I said, it always starts with the self, right? So if I can share from my personal experience, so even as a student, right, and having a mentor with 20 years of experience in the industry and putting strong emphasis on EQ, it helped me learn a lot about what to expect, how to prepare. So what I would really encourage everyone to do is that in case where they are in, self-doubt, or they have that inner critic getting louder, and as we go higher in our career, especially for the women in technology, I have this saying that is, when in doubt, work smarter. So for example, if I struggle with something, I try to find a point of contact that can help me with that self-doubt, right? Or how to grow my AQ in that area. Usually it is one of my mentors, but I also try to assess, is it because this is something new to me, or because I really think I don't have the right skills? And usually it boils down to either learning a new skill or giving myself the talk. Sometimes I have to do that. So,
I love that.
yeah. And then for sometimes for things that we have accomplished before, I would say just remind yourself that you have already accomplished something similar, right? So maybe sometimes the circumstances are putting more pressure on you. Maybe someone is difficult to work with, but you got it. I mean, and from the experience, you learn that repetition is key in everything, even for simple interactions. If you can recall reaching out to people before, for example, when we were junior in our roles, if we recall that, it probably was very, very challenging for us at the beginning, right? And now it's quite natural. So yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. And self-doubt is something that is arriving, especially when we are going to an unknown spaces. So when we have a new project and we don't know how that is going to work, I think self-doubt is coming. But getting into the technique that you just explained to us will really remove that and help us to improve professionally and personally, seeing into yourself what is happening. I think this is very important, Alba, and thank you for sharing that. Actually, part of the impact in having this transformation, and it have been your story of professional life. So how you have been actually mixing all the things together to achieve what you have been achieving right now.
Mm-hmm. So for me, a key point has been the need for mentors. So as a student or as a junior individual in any kind of career, we might not be that much aware. And it was also the case for me, how important having a mentor is. But for me, I've had 5 mentors so far, and at all times more than one. And the reason for that is because I admire different skills in different people, and I try to get their advice on their areas of expertise. For example, senior software engineers, maybe scientists or managers, and having a mentor who has gone through the steps that you envision can help you move faster. So this is something you can incorporate your EQ as well. So at times we don't know what we don't know, right? And sometimes we try to do things our way. We might have limited information, and mentorship can be a very valuable aspect in these situations. And for finding mentors, I would just say reaching out, maybe explaining your intent, your goals, and have a couple of meetings to see if you're a good match. And what can help in here is doing some preliminary work on your goals, so you can steer the conversation on the right direction. And if I can maybe share a short personal anecdote on this. So when
Please.
I yeah, thank you. So when I landed my role at Amazon, I was a university graduate, and I had just graduated from computer engineering. But as a software engineer, there's a lot of areas you can go into, right? You can be more of scientist, solutions architect, or pure software engineer. And I was kind of in a dilemma on what position would be best for me. So through mentorship, I was able to navigate all of these areas. I spoke to people who were very proficient in all of this. And then I would say EQ was essential here, because I was constantly doing the self-reflection. So I was learning for them, and I was thinking, okay, what path resonates with me? And then so I built that self-awareness, and I decided to be a software engineer. So yeah.
This is a big moment in your life. I mean, it's a moment where you realize that having those mentors is what really make shape your future. And now, and just to start wrap up, because this has been very interesting interview, Alba, thank you very much. But my question is, what is coming for you? I mean, what is your future looks like?
Well, there's a lot of plans from both personal and professional endeavors. I would say that one of my main initiatives continues and on building upon the vision of making the university program global. So we're working on onboarding more universities globally and also growing in my current role. But I would say that sometimes I just learn through challenges as I go. So I think that what I try to do is I basically put a time bound. So I say, okay, in the next 2 years, this is what I want to do. And for example, I have built a 2-year plan for this initiative, for my career, on my personal life, and I try to work on that actively.
Structure is very important part of our lives, and the retro planning, of course, is something that if we put in place and we try to follow that, it will be make us having a better life. So thank you very much, Alba. Have been a good session with you, good interview. I love all the content that you delivered to us. Would you like to add something else for our audiences?
Yeah. So I just one last comment from my personal experience. So one thing that when we try to pursue our dreams, so one thing that seems to I've observed as I was analyzing successful individuals is that they seem to have in common having the courage and trying to be ready for facing the risk of failing. So I heard something recently from one of our leaders. Actually, it's basically your career is like a rubber, so it can bounce back. And I personally think that I would not have built my current mindset and skills if I didn't continuously push myself in uncomfortably new spaces. And when I think about pursuing my dreams and my goals, I just think I don't want to look back 20 or 10 years from now and wonder if that idea in my 20s could have worked out or not. So yeah, I'm really happy to see in general tons of success stories, especially from women at different ages. And I would like to say to everyone who's kind of in doubt of pursuing an idea, that to look for examples and maybe individuals who have accomplished great things and learn from them, and then push yourself every day in the direction of your dreams.
That is lovely. Flexibility and being curious as well is something that make us really have a success. So thank you, Alba, for being here. It has been a pleasure.
Likewise, thank you for having me.
Lovely.
We hope you have been inspired by this content and join us for future episodes of the Brilliantly Branded podcast. We will continue exploring the power of branding and the stories behind successful brands. And remember, if you know a woman who has built a successful brand with a unique approach and a story to share, please refer them to our podcast. We would love to learn from their experiences and share their story with our listeners. Stay tuned for most episodes of Brilliantly Branded, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, on our YouTube channel for more branding insights and women empowerment. Until the next episode, ciao ciao.